At 12:01 a.m. on January 17, 1920, national prohibition begins. Liquor stores, saloons, breweries, and distilleries close their doors.
The distillery on the hillside now is still. The men, they take their tipple from the ripple of the rill. The boys go home sober, and their mothers don't cry. Glory, hallelujah, Uncle Sam is going to stay dry. It was because...
But as the moral crusaders celebrate the start of Prohibition, the Moonshiners are cranking out thousands of gallons of illegal whiskey. National Prohibition isn't an obstacle for them. It's an opportunity to reap greater profits.
America's going to have the whiskey one way or another. Now, whether it comes from the bootlegger, the moonshiner, or anyway, they're going to have it any way you look at it.
For many during Prohibition, moonshining is a means of survival. When legal distilleries close their doors, thousands of old-time distillers find themselves out of work. Forced to fend for themselves, they head into the woods, build their own stills, and make white lightning.
One day you're a distiller, the next day you're a criminal. They had large families. The way of making money was gone. The people who were cutting down the oak for the staves, they were out of a job. The people who were raising the corn was out of a job. The people who worked on the bottling line were out of a job. And it was just major, major financial problems around here.
My daddy, he made shine, keep his kids from starving, I guess, or to send us to school and buy shoes for us. He was doing what he had to do. He was not a criminal.
These people's names weren't Bugsy or Scarface. They were very nice, very respectable people. They saw the government as having made them a criminal.
But for every moonshiner just trying to get by, there are several others interested only in profits. Unconcerned about quality, these cagey moonshiners switch the main ingredient in their whiskey from corn to cheaper sugar.
In the early stages, they made good whiskey. They made corn whiskey. And then later on, someone found out if you add sugar to it and whatnot, you could get a bigger production, a bigger yield, and more of it, but not as good a whiskey. So most of the people then weren't anxious about the quality of whiskey, it was the quantity of whiskey.
For about $5, a moonshiner could purchase 100 pounds of sugar and turn it into 10 gallons of white lightning. He could then sell it for $20 a gallon and profit up to $200 per run.
Make a lot of money, a lot of money. If you had a 200-gallon barrel and put in 200 gallons of water, 200 pounds of sugar, 40 pounds of wheat bran, and a cake of yeast, maybe a pound of yeast, let it ferment for 3 days, make a lot of whiskey.
Moonshiners in just one small Virginia county turn out nearly 1 million gallons of illicit booze a year, half the yearly output of the Jim Beam distillery before Prohibition. Only one thing separates the moonshiner from large profits: the law. The monumental task of policing the nation falls on 1,500 federal agents of the Prohibition Unit. They fan out across the country and join local law enforcement to bust bootleggers and destroy illicit stills. But these agents are poorly paid, and many are seduced by the lure of moonshine money. Corruption is rampant.
The salary was $1,800 a year when Prohibition started. They could get $500 a day for calling in on a certain specified day sick. So in 4 days, they could make their yearly salary.
It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek type thing. You could go to a blind pig in Detroit, and you'd see the Prohibition agent and his favorite blind pig, and he had he'd have a summer home and a winter home, and drive a Cadillac.
It is estimated that the few honest Prohibition agents are only able to apprehend about 5% of the 800 million gallons of illegal liquor flowing through the country every year. They had no better luck stopping the millions of Americans from consuming these outlaw spirits. Americans drink in illegal saloons called blind pigs and speakeasies, where jazz booms, and the Charleston is all the rage.
If you knew where one was located and you were given the password, you were admitted.
You say, Joe sent me. You'd knock on the door and say, Joe sent me.
And after you were admitted, whatever you could afford to pay for was there for the asking. It was romantic because you were breaking the law.
The word speakeasy derives from the way illegal liquor is ordered. To the bartender, keep your voice down and speak easy. During the Roaring '20s, speakeasies are the settings where rebellious youth fight a revolution in morals and manners. They are young soldiers returning from World War I, joined for the first time in the saloons by women.
Women who were not allowed in the vast majority of saloons prior to Prohibition are welcomed with open arms into the speakeasies.
They are known as flappers, armed with new clothes, new attitudes, and the new symbol of youth revolution in America, the hip flask.
I was a flapper and really enjoyed it. And my friends were all flappers. You had the little hats, you know, they were pulled down, kind of fit in the hairdos and the short skirts and the high heels. It was all part of growing up at that time. It was kind of a nice age for young people especially. I mean, the group that I was running around with, it was exciting to go to Blind Pigs, although you weren't supposed to. But anyway, we enjoyed it. And you were always wondering, well, will this place be raided? Will my folks find out about it?
Prohibition agents are always on the prowl trying to bust speakeasies. But many of these secret saloons devise brilliant ways to get around the law. This is Claudio's restaurant in Greenport, New York. Claudio's is built on the edge of a pier. At low tide, boats laden with illegal liquor slide under the restaurant and unload their bounty.
And the booze would come out of the boat, dragged up the sand, and there were 3 trap doors in the restaurant. One was in the back that you could offload the booze straight up into the back, out the back door, into the trucks, gone. A second was in what is now the men's room, which is a very small room with no doors. And the booze would go up inside the trap door in that little storage room when there was no truck left. And the third still exists today. And the booze came straight up through the trap door and into the bar.
The Elite 21 Club in New York City has its own unique defenses against the law. If a raid is imminent, the doorman alerts the bartender with a secret buzzer. That's the signal to flush the booze. In addition to collapsible shelves, the 21 Club has secret passages and fake walls. In the basement, this brick wall is actually a door. It only unlocks when a long metal key is inserted into a tiny crack, giving way to the club's liquor vault. During Prohibition, no liquor is ever found in the 21 Club. And the secret storeroom still exists today. In elite speakeasies like the 21 Club, high-quality liquor flows. But bad booze infiltrates many secret saloons. To increase profits, many unethical bootleggers take a bottle of good liquor and cut it into 2 or even 3 bottles. Liquor that had been altered like this is sometimes called monkey rum. Small-time bootleggers mix alcohol with flavorings in their bathtubs and create bathtub gin. Another problem is an army of amateur moonshiners.
There were many bad moonshiners out there who didn't care what they put in their illegal hooch. Substances such as embalming fluid were used to give an extra kick to that whiskey, or what they were calling whiskey. People were dying from these ingredients.
During the first year of Prohibition, over 1,000 deaths are attributed to poisonous liquor. Within 5 years, that number quadruples.
In 1927, a survey of all the booze that was taken by the revenue agents, they discovered that 98% of it contained poisons of one form or another.
This rot-gut alcohol makes its way into the speakeasies. The only thing bartenders can do is to try to mask the poisons and horrid taste with sweet fruit juices and colorful mixers. Bootleggers keep these toxic spirits flowing throughout the 13 years of Prohibition. And despite the dangers, Americans will continue to drink them.
Now it's palatable. It will get you high. It won't taste great, but it's all we got. Enjoy.